it is now time for Bryson's Best 10. So let's go and get the background music going. Here we go for Bryson's Best 10. Going into Week 5 now. Let's start with the 10th best team in the NFL, a team making their Bryson's Best 10 debut for this 2023 NFL season. It is the Los Angeles Rams. LA, not the Chargers, the Rams are, to me, the 10th best team in the National Football League, and here's why. So, they're 2-2. They've had a couple of clunkers against the, I shouldn't say couple. They have one clunker against the Cincinnati Bengals, but they come back last week. They beat the Indianapolis Colts. They do so in overtime. They did blow a 23-point lead for the game to get to overtime, but Matthew Stafford throws a pass to Puka Nacua at the end to win it. By the way, Nacua has been a man amongst boys in his rookie year. 39 catches through 4 games. I believe that's an NFL record, if I'm not mistaken. It's certainly a rookie record. And you consider the fact that it was just announced today by Sean McVay that Cooper Kupp is going to be back with the team soon. It looks like he may be able to suit up this week and play for the Rams against the Philadelphia Eagles. They'll certainly need him for that matchup. But you consider the fact that Matthew Stafford, throughout the first part of the season, has been efficient. He's played relatively clean football. The big shocker for the Rams, at least in my eyes, because I view the Rams as kind of like a 7-win team, is the fact that they have run the ball. Even back to their Super Bowl year, they did not rush the football this effectively. One of the best teams in the NFL run the football. The offensive line has been better than expected. Aaron Donald's been great in the defensive side of the ball. The defense, the front 7 has been very good. It was good last week against the Indianapolis Colts with the rushing attack that they have. Matt Stafford's played good football. They've got Puka Nacua. They've got Tutu Atwell. And they've got Cooper Kupp coming back from injury. I like their running game. I like their weapons. I really like their quarterback. And I like their defense. Yeah, this week, they crack in the top 10. They want to go up this list? Beat Philadelphia. Then a lot more people will buy into the Los Angeles Rams. At number 9, a team in the Rams division, it is the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle, the 9th best team in the NFL, and here is why. So, Seattle, I had them at 8th last week. You're like, Bryson, how the heck did they drop? Well, I had Buffalo at 10th last week, so obviously Buffalo shot up the list because they're winning against Miami. But this is about Seattle. So, what I thought was very impressive, and the story of that game against the New York Giants was, the Giants struggled. Daniel Jones, they weren't able to protect him, whatever the case may be. What I thought was impressive about Seattle is the fact that Geno Smith gets hurt, is out of the game for the time being. Drew Lock comes in, plays well, has a QBR of 81 while he's in the game. Seattle ran the ball very effectively. I've always been a Kenneth Walker fan, but they've also got Charbonnet who ran the ball well, averaged 6 yards a carry. So when you consider the fact their backup steps in, their offensive line plays well despite some injuries there, you've got obviously the good running game with Charbonnet and with Kenneth Walker. And they've got, and I've said this since the offseason, it's why I picked Seattle to go back to the playoffs, they've got maybe the most underrated wide receiving core in all of football with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith-Njigba. So when you consider what they can do in the run game and the pass game, and first and foremost, this is let's just say last but not least, this is a Pete Carroll coach defense, and those tend to be flirting with elite. They seem to get better and better week after week. The Seattle Seahawks are looking good right now. I'm not saying they're a contender, but I do believe they're a team that's going to make the playoffs this year. They are, to me, the 9th best team in the NFL. To number 8, it is the Detroit Lions. And again, you say, Bryson, why did they drop for a spot? That is because the Buffalo Bills jump up multiple spots on this list. But the Detroit Lions, to me, Detroit Lions are the 9th best team. I'm sorry, the Detroit Lions are the 8th best team in the National Football League, and here's why. And now you guys know I've been high on the Lions all offseason. I predicted them to get to the NFC title game. They've looked pretty good thus far, particularly on the defensive side, which is part of the reason I said they get there, because their offense, we know how good it is. And the offense is actually getting some reinforcements. Jamison Williams is coming back from not just an ACL tear, but a gambling suspension. He'll be back in the lineup sooner rather than later. Jared Goff has played very good football, especially with a clean pocket. This Lions offensive line is amongst the best in the NFL. They've got a good running game. Obviously, we would like them to use Jahmyr Gibbs more, but David Montgomery was a monster in that Thursday night win against Green Bay, and that, too, is the mark of a contender. In a situation where Green Bay is not a bad team, I don't love Green Bay this year, but they're not a bunch of scrubs. Jordan Love's had his moments. That's a solid Green Bay defense and solid weapons there. When you are a team that's favored on the road going in against a division rival that you historically have gotten owned by, and you go in and mopped the floor with them in virtually every aspect of the game. Up front, in the running game, in the passing game. Their secondary was good, was opportunistic, taking the football away from Jordan Love. There's not a whole lot I don't like about this Lions team. I think they're well coached. I really like their roster. Jared Goff just continues to show, at least in my eyes, why he is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Detroit Lions, the 8th best team in the National Football League. At number 7, a team that fell a lot, it's the Miami Dolphins, who I had at number 2 last week. They dropped 5 whole spots to number 7 this week, although they still stay in the top 10. Bryce's best 10, but Miami at number 7. Here is why. So we saw again the 70-point game kind of being the capper, but this is a Dolphins offense that's been one of the most explosive in the league. It's definitely the fastest offense in the NFL, with Tyreek, with Jalen Waddle, with Raheem Mostert, with the rookie running back they have there as well. Good offensive line. I'm not going to lie to you, that game against Buffalo, again, you can lose in the NFL, but it really is how you lose does matter. How you win matters. Remember Minnesota won all those close games last year? I liked them. Most didn't. They were validated when they lost to the Giants in the playoffs because simply put, the Vikings weren't blowing teams out, and if you're a good team, you kind of need to blow teams out from time to time. Even bad teams do that here and there. But as far as the Dolphins are concerned, that is not a game. Again, if you want to be in that discussion, which I still think they kind of are amongst the contenders in the AFC, you can't show up at kind of the opposite of the Lions here. You can't show up against a division rival on the road. I get it's Buffalo, but it isn't Buffalo in December when it's crappy weather. It's probably snowing. It's 25, 30 degrees. No, weather was good in Buffalo. It's early October weather. That should be clarified. Tua wasn't terrible. He wasn't particularly efficient in the second half. The running game kind of went, especially after Buffalo built the lead they did. Jalen Ramsey will be back later this season, we assume, but this is a Vic Fangio coach defense, and I thought that'd be a huge acquisition for this Dolphins team. Thus far, it hasn't paid quite the dividends that I thought it would. However, Miami's got a pretty easy schedule the next few games. They do have the New York Giants this week at home. They should win that game. Miami, I think, will be fine, but I did think the Bills exposed some issues that the Dolphins do have. The Miami Dolphins are the 7th best team in the NFL. At number 6, a team that drops a couple spots, the Philadelphia Eagles. And you're like, Bryson, timeout. They're 4-0, one of the only 2 4-0 teams in the NFL, along with the San Francisco 49ers, and you dropped them a couple spots? Yes, I did, and here's why. So I was very impressed with Philadelphia's offense. That's the best they've looked thus far this season in the passing game with Jalen Hurts. A.J. Brown had a big-time afternoon against the Washington Commanders. A weakness that Philadelphia has, though, the good news is they can address it in the trade deadline. If they go after this particular position, the middle of their defense and their secondary in general is truly awful. Awful. There's not been, aside from the game against Tampa Bay, in which the offensive line for Tampa Bay struggled badly against Philadelphia's elite front four, you've got Sam Howell going up and down. Sam Howell's fine, but Sam Howell's going up and down the field on them. You got Kirk Cousins, if he's not turning the ball over, going up and down the field on him. Heck, you have Mac Jones going up and down the field on this Philadelphia defense. That is something, and I love the offense. And you guys know I bought into Jalen Hurts starting last season. The running game is awesome. Their offensive line's great. Their front four is amazing. That secondary will get them beat in the playoffs if they don't address it at the trade deadline. Dak Prescott can beat that secondary. We've seen him do it in the past. A healthy Brock Purdy is capable of being that secondary. Jared Goff is capable of being that secondary. I mean, Mac Jones is. Any of those guys are. So that's got to be something they address. But they're 4-0. They're absolutely a contender in the NFC. I really enjoyed seeing them put together a good offensive performance, at least from their perspective. But they have got to address the middle of their defense, the safeties in particular. Philadelphia, to me, actually dropped the 6th best team in the NFL. At number 5, I never thought I'd see the day, this year at least, where this team would move up the way they have. But at number 5, it is the Buffalo Bills. So Buffalo have got it number 5 for very obvious reasons. So they suffer the bad loss on the road against the New York Jets, with Zach Wilson playing all but, of course, famously 4 snaps in that football game. But if you look at the last 3 weeks, look at virtually all the numbers. Josh Allen's been the best quarterback in football. He's first in passer rating, first in yards. He's not turned the football over, which has kind of been his bugaboo, even as high of a ceiling as he has. His floor is being careless with the ball, being careless in general, being reckless is what I've called him, taking risks that really don't need to be taken given the game situation. Stephon Diggs had a monster afternoon against the Miami Dolphins. They carved up that defense up and down the field. But Buffalo's defense, too, to me, is the story, in the fact that their top top 3 in virtually every defensive category that matters, whether it's points, whether it's takeaways, whether it's sacks in particular. I don't know if they're third in takeaways necessarily, but they're definitely top 3 in sacks. They've got Von Miller coming back pretty soon. I've always liked Sean McDermott. I think he's a good coach. Buffalo's running game has been better than it has been in years past with Josh Allen. There's not much not to like. The only reason I have them at 5 and not where a lot of people have them, which is like 2, 3. Some people have them as the best team in the league, which I think is absurd. But the reason I have them at number 5 and not higher is because the fact that we've seen them do this before. They get off these hot regular season starts, these 4-1 starts, these 6-1 starts. Today they're obviously 3-1, and then they kind of finish this regular season either rough or they have some clunkers in the playoffs. We've seen them do this before, and I think that's a reasonable criticism to have of Buffalo, but they look great both sides of the ball. The Bills are the 5th best team in the NFL. At number 4, team that moves up a spot from last week, it is the Baltimore Ravens. Sickens me as a Steelers fan to say, but I gotta call it like I see it. The Ravens, to me, are the 4th best team in the NFL, and here is why. So, what I thought was very impressive, and I said I picked Baltimore to win that game against Cleveland before I even knew Deshaun wasn't going to play that game. Obviously, Deshaun, I've been critical of him, but he's a better option than Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I was impressed with the fact that the Ravens went into that game against a Cleveland defense that's been shutting offenses down. They hold the Bengals to 3. They hold the Titans to 3. They hold the Steelers offense, which isn't that hard to do, by the way, with Matt Canada coaching. They hold them to 12. And Baltimore walks onto Cleveland's grass, turf, wherever they play on these days. They walk into Cleveland, drop 28 on their heads, and you got Lamar Jackson out here who'd struggled a little bit, having a pass rating of 142. That added to the fact that they rushed for 131 yards against a Cleveland Browns front 7, which is among the best in the NFL, against a well-coached Browns defense against which was coached by Jim Schwartz. Listen, and they're doing it too without Odell Beckham Jr. They're doing it at the moment without great wide receiver play. John Harbaugh's a great coach. We know how great they are on special teams with Justin Tucker, but Lamar's played good football. The run game has been good. Again, they got Ronnie Stanley back from injury. The secondary got better with Marcus Williams coming back. So the running game's been excellent. Passing game has really took a big step in the right direction. I love Tom Munkin as a fit with Lamar Jackson. The Ravens, to me, are the 4th best team in the NFL. They look good. They really do. I think they're the favorites in the AFC North today, especially the way Cincinnati's flounder. Ravens, to me, 4th best team in the NFL. At number 3, it is the Dallas Cowboys, who move up a couple spots. I had them at number 5 last week. I had them at number 3 today, and here is why. So, we know how great the defense is, and the defense, I want to apologize to the Cowboys and their fans for saying that the Patriots would score 16 in the Cowboys. When I predicted that game, I said Dallas would win 34-16. I apologize for making the insane assumption that Mac Jones, of all people, will put up 16 points. That's not much, but for Mac Jones, that's a lot on the Dallas Cowboys defense. I apologize sincerely for that. Dallas' defense was awesome. They got to Mac Jones consistently. They turned the ball over 3 times against him. Deron Bland with 2 interceptions, 2 kind of easy interceptions because Mac Jones looked him down. But props to Mr. Bland for taking advantage. To me, what puts him at number 3? It's Dak Prescott. When you consider the fact that we get on Dak when he plays bad, and I'll tell you, we are as quiet as little church mice when he does play well. So Dak Prescott against 2 of the best defenses in the NFL, 2 of the best coach defenses in the NFL, the New York Jets, who, did you see what they did to Patrick Mahomes the other night? Mahomes struggled through 2 bad picks. Yeah, and Dak Prescott just he's sitting back in his rocking chair, had a passer rating of 112. No big deal. Great defense. Passer rating 112. No biggie. And against the New England Patriots, coached by Bill Belichick. Maybe you've heard of him. Dak has a passer rating of 108. Again, does not turn the ball over in that game. Was very efficient. Completion percentage was off the charts in both matchups. Dak Prescott, as I said earlier in today's show, he's going to have to be the guy to win it for Dallas. Not the run game. Not necessarily some other components. Defensively, I know Dallas will be good against San Francisco because they're a great defense. Dak Prescott has to win this game with his arm for the Cowboys to beat the San Francisco 49ers. I think he is capable of doing that because he's shown us thus far this season 2 elite defenses, Jets, Patriots. It's been great against both. San Francisco's a different test, but I think my man, Rain Dakota Prescott, is capable of putting together a good offensive performance in San Francisco against the Niners. The Dallas Cowboys, because of Dak Prescott, that's what pushes them over the top to be the 3rd best team in football in my eyes. Dallas Cowboys at number 3. At number 2, they don't move, the Kansas City Chiefs. You're like, oh, come on, Bryson. Come on. Kansas City goes into the Jets. We know the Taylor Swift story and the Taylor Swift love story. See what I did there? Swift reference. Kansas City goes into New York against the Jets, and there's all this media attention. A lot of it, we saw the demographic, of 18 to 24-year-old women and like I think 12 to 17-year-old girls like shoot up, obviously because of Taylor, to bring a new audience to watch football, which is awesome. But Kansas City goes in, they go up 17-0 on the Jets, but then there's the safety, which wasn't a safety, but they called it a safety, and then Zach Wilson's playing well, and he's building confidence, and he's making this a more interesting game than certainly I think even Jets fans thought it would be. But then what do the Chiefs do? They do what any championship team does with championship DNA. They take the ball away at midfield from Zach Wilson, and they put together a 7-minute drive to eat the clock. You say, oh, they were aided by bad calls. Well, if you look at that game, there were actually some horrendous calls on Kansas City as well, so it evened itself out pretty well there. Mahomes did not have a good day whatsoever against the New York Jets defense, which, again, is really good. We talked about the going into the season, and they played well against Mahomes, but, again, and I keep saying this, I said this, I remember back in week 2, that if you should feel great if you're a Chiefs fan, because the defense has been great in every single game. If your concern is Mahomes is a little off, oh, baby, you're in great shape. You are in fantastic shape if you're a Chiefs fan. So Kansas City, to me, the second-best team in the NFL. They've shown me no reason that I should drop them. And I've seen nothing from anybody else that says, oh, yeah, they're definitely better than Kansas City, except for the best team in the NFL. And I've had them here since week 2, the San Francisco 49ers. Do I need to put together, once again, my soliloquy of the fact that they have easily, far and away, the best roster in the NFL, top to bottom? As I mentioned earlier in the show, Pro Football Focus graded 4 players on the San Francisco 49ers, which is a solid percentage of their overall team, or the overall starters, I should say. 4 players in the San Francisco 49ers, according to Pro Football Focus, are the best at their position. That's what they're capable of doing. Offensively, we know they can rush the football. Christian McCaffrey, to me, he's interesting. I think Christian McCaffrey, he's got an NBA comp. Nikola Jokic. Now, Christian McCaffrey, he's the best running back in the league. He's not the best player in the league. Jokic, to me, is the best player in the NBA, if worst case, second or third. But Jokic is a unicorn where, yeah, he's a great scorer, but a lot of big men have been great scorers. No. He's an elite rebounder. Well, a lot of great centers in the NBA have been great rebounders. He is one of the best passers in basketball as a big. Oh, and he just so happens to be one of the most efficient scorers, even from three-point range, even from the mid-range, the floater. Christian McCaffrey's a unicorn. Of course, he's a great running back, but again, we've seen plenty of those. Not to diminish them, but we've seen plenty of those. He can catch the ball in the backfield, though. He can run in between the tackles, at his size, mind you. He can run off tackle. He is maybe the fastest player on his own team with respect to guys like Deebo Samuel. Maybe one of the fastest players in the NFL, save for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Hyatt. I mean, this guy is he's a unicorn. We've never seen a running back quite like him. Brock Purdy, it's time we stop disrespecting Brock Purdy week in and week out. The Niners offensive coaching staff, led by Kyle Shanahan, clearly trust him in order for him to make some big-time throws, pushing the ball down the field, moving in and outside the pocket to set his team up in a position to be successful. The Niners defense is awesome. They have all pros everywhere on both sides of the football. Actually, kind of like their kicker, too, by the way. And Kyle Shanahan is an offensive mastermind. The San Francisco 49ers, once again, for the now 4th week in a row, are the best team on Bryson's best 10, and therefore, because I have had the final say on all this, as I'm sure you guys know, the best team in the National Football League. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.